The Trump administration is warning against taking acetaminophen during pregnancy. Maddie France joins us in studio to explain what actions it's taking and why some scientists disagree. Good evening, Maddie.
Hey, John. President Donald Trump and HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. say increased rates of autism are linked to taking acetaminophen or Tylenol during pregnancy. They say the FDA will issue a physician's notice and work to change the medication's warning label, and the HHS will launch a public service campaign. But an expert on maternal medication says the evidence is not necessarily on the Trump administration's side.
So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good.
With autism rates rising from about 1 in 150 in the year 2000 to about 1 in 31 today, President Trump says he believes environmental factors are to blame. That now includes taking Tylenol during pregnancy.
You know, there's something artificial. They're taking something.
The FDA says it's responding to studies suggesting a link between adverse neurodevelopmental outcomes and Tylenol use during pregnancy. It says it recognizes studies showing the opposite and the risks of untreated fever during pregnancy. HHS is encouraging physicians to prescribe Tylenol only when absolutely necessary and at the lowest possible dose.
It's almost certain that this is going to cause a lot more confusion.
Brian Lee is a professor of epidemiology at Drexel University. He's also worked on the largest study on Tylenol use during pregnancy, published last year. He says environmental factors aren't out of the question.
As far as pointing the finger at acetaminophen, I don't think that's a credible suspect.
That study observed 2.5 million children born in Sweden. About 185,000 mothers took acetaminophen during pregnancy. When accounting for genetic factors, the rates of autism and ADHD diagnosis were the same.
In other words, there was no increase in risk of autism or ADHD associated with acetaminophen use.
Peer-reviewed literature has documented that up to 60% of folate-deficient children with ASD can have improved verbal communications if given leucovorin.
HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. also put forward a potential new treatment for the symptoms of autism. Lee says folic acid is important for brain development, but there needs to be a lot more research.
No therapeutic recommendations, in my opinion, should be made based on this really preliminary evidence.
He says the biggest impact is likely on patients.
Anytime a different voice is added to the conversation, it causes a bit of confusion, especially if the messaging is completely different.
His advice: talk to your physician about what you can and can't take during pregnancy. Lee says those rising autism diagnosis rates most likely come from increased awareness, new diagnostic criteria, and better screening in schools. He's also in favor of more research on the environmental causes of autism in addition to genetic factors. John?
All right, Maddie, thank you.